Hello, welcome to Book Corner with JC. And today we'll be talking about my top 10 Edgar Allan Poe stories. All right, my top 10 Edgar Allan Poe stories. Now, some people might be rubbed the wrong way because Edgar Allan Poe was, I think we could be frank and say that he was racist. He came from a family in Virginia before the Civil War. I believe the family owned slaves. And, there is that. Try to separate the work from the artist. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Uh, I choose to do so. I don't hold Edgar Allan Poe up as a great person, but I think he was a very good author. Okay, so we'll go to the top 10 stories. Some honorable mentions: Black Cat, The Purloined Letter, and The Premature Burial. Now, I imagine Premature Burial was probably a lot scarier back then when it actually happened. I can't think of anyone being buried while they were still alive in our 21st century in modern times. But, oh well. Number 10, The Oval Portrait, published in 1842. An interesting idea about the connection between art and life. Number 9, The Pit and the Pendulum. Very iconic story, probably a little bit passe. Nowadays, we're used to a lot of things, but at the time, I imagine it was very remarkable. It was published in 1842. Number 8, Hop Frog. I love a good revenge story. I can't deny it. Hop Frog, published in 1849. Yeah, a nice, good revenge story. That's always a winner for me. Number 7, Berenice. Berenice, published in 1835. That's the earliest publication of any story on my top 10 list. Talk about obsession. Berenice, number 7. Number 6, The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather. Just a nice story with a twist. Hey, it wins for me, works for me. Number 5, The Cask of Amontillado. The Cask of Amontillado, published in 1846. Another good revenge story. But then you have to wonder, is it really necessary revenge? Is it really that bad? Or was this just a person taking matters into their own hands and maybe being overreacting to some slight? Maybe it wasn't really revenge. Maybe they just are a psychopath. Number 4, The Fall of the House of Usher, published in 1839. I guess you could call it horror. Nice, interesting story. It might drag on. Might be a bit longer, than most people would like for a short story. Hey, it works for me though. Number 3, The Telltale Heart, published in 1843. Very good story about mania and mental illness. Again, a lot of these Poe stories, the first that we had seen in the West for maybe ever. So very iconic, maybe a little passe now, but at the time, the OG story of mental health illness and mania. Number 2, The Mask of the Red Death. This was published in 1842. Excellent story about the wealthy and the elites trying to separate themselves from the miseries of the world. Just as true now as it was back then. You hear about some of these billionaires with their bunkers in case the world ends, but I don't think a bunker is going to save you. Who's going to grow the crops? Who's going to produce the electricity? Everything's going to go to crap. They think they can escape, separate themselves from it, but no, it comes for us all. And number 1, my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, published in 1841. An excellent detective story, even a precursor to Sherlock Holmes with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So those are my top 10. Other people might have their own top 10. Yep, to each his own. Thank you for joining me today in Book Corner. This has been JC. Goodbye.